What's going on, guys? This is Gun Guy Reviews. Wanted to do a quick tabletop review of these two revolvers. This one, the Smith Wesson 686 Plus 357 Magnum. And we also have the Smith Wesson Model 6944 Magnum. Reason for the review, I just recently purchased both of these revolvers. They're both purchase used locally. I was looking for different reviews on each of them, and there were a bunch of reviews, but nothing that really showed what I wanted to see. So I thought I would make my own and maybe help somebody else out. So before we get started, I'm going to show these are clear because I will definitely be handling them, functions. So just to get that out of the way, these are checked clear. Yeah, so the Smith & Wesson 686, I bought this one first. Like I said, bought it used. It does have the Hillary hole, 686-6 model. Brushed stainless finish, which I like the look of. It shows fingerprints terribly bad. I don't know if that's picking up in the camera or not. Ramped front sight, adjustable rear. I did have one video that I watched that said that the rear sight was adjustable for windage and elevation with this elevation screw. They said you had to loosen this front screw, then you could adjust elevation on the rear. I don't know if you can see that little booger on that screw. That's where I attempted to adjust elevation. Couldn't get that screw to loosen or tighten, so maybe it was Loctited in by the previous owner. I don't know, but this thing still shoots fairly well. It shoots, it's probably 4 inches high at about 15 yards. So I was trying to drop the point of impact, but didn't have any luck. But other than that, great shooting gun. The grips on it, not my favorite. These are factory grips. I've heard some people say they're Hogue, just rebranded. They have the Smith & Wesson logo. They don't feel like Hogue to me. They have this pebble texture, whatever you would call it. Not very grippy. They're a very hard rubber, very hard. Doesn't do anything to soak up recoil. Not that the 357 has loads of recoil, but you can definitely feel it. Even though it has the covered back strap, you can feel it in the meat of your hand when you fire this thing with some real hot loads like the buffalo bores. It's definitely noticeable. Yeah, the only issue besides the sight adjustment that I had with this particular gun, after firing some just regular old PMCs, PMC, what are these, 158 grain. After firing just a few rounds of that when I first got it, I noticed the front ramp was coming up in the back. It actually had a noticeable gap. You could see light underneath the back of the ramp. Pushed it back down into place, kind of tapped the roll pin back in a little better, even though it really wasn't out, but I just gave it a few taps. And it hasn't been a problem since, even firing the buffalo bore. I fired the buffalo bore after that. Didn't jump back out on me. So maybe a one-off, not sure. But yeah, 686 plus, 7 rounds, 357 Magnum. Shoots great. The trigger on these things, I'm sure if you've watched very many reviews on them, you've probably already heard all about it. The double action is amazing. Like I said, just show it is clear. The double action on this thing is so smooth. I actually had a couple times firing it where shooting double action and just trying to stage it, which you can stage, it actually went off before I was ready. So Anyone that's ever fired a double action revolver will tell you how crazy that is. Single action, yeah, I mean, it's Smith & Wesson single action. It's awesome. So yeah, great trigger. Not a huge fan of the grip. Finish is, it's okay. It definitely had some blemishes on it, which I've seen in other reviews. Mine did also. It's so fingerprinted up right now that I probably won't be able to find them, but it just had the brush marks. There's been several other people that mentioned it. This one definitely has them. Some brush marks and some areas that are, the finish just looks different. I'm not really sure how else to describe it. It just doesn't match. It looks not quite like a blemish, just doesn't match. It doesn't look great for almost what would have been $1,000 gun, brand new. I didn't pay $1,000 for this. Like I said, I bought it used, but irregardless, not a cheap gun to have blemishes on the stainless finish. But man, what are you gonna do? I mean, guns are tools. I bought this one to be used, so it is what it is. The Model 69, I actually purchased this from the same shop the very next weekend, as a matter of fact, from when I bought the 686. This gun, it shoots really good. It's extremely light. Even with this one being the 4 1/4 inch barrel, I believe they also make a 2.75 inch barrel. This 4 1/4 inch barrel is still very light for a 44 Magnum. The other reviews that I've seen said that this is all stainless steel. It's not the scandium or anything crazy like that. It's forged stainless, so they're able to shave a little weight, different areas, I guess, doing the forging. A little better quality steel. So yeah, no issues with the front sight on this one. Same sight setup. This one has the same thing with the sight adjustments. I didn't need to adjust the elevation on this one. Dialed in the windage and it was good to go. So not sure about that elevation screw again. But yeah, don't come for me too hard in the comments, guys. I'm not a gun expert. I'm not a revolver expert or a Smith & Wesson guru by any means. Just giving my personal experiences with these guns, and hopefully somebody finds it helpful. Yeah, five shot, shoots good. Trigger is comparable to the 686. If anything, the single action may be just a hair lighter. Just a hair lighter on this one. Yeah, double action smooth. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, but other than that, like I said, extremely light. This thing, you shoot off anything full house 44 Magnum, you definitely know you shot it. These Buffalo bores, these are the lower recoil 44 Magnum, 255 grain. Yeah, you definitely know when you touch one of those things off in this. It'd take you for a ride. But not crazy. I mean, it's a 44 Magnum. It's not a 500 line bar or, anything wild. It's a 44. It's just a light 44. But yeah, great shooting gun. This is not the factory grip. I'm sure somebody's probably already noticed. This is the Hogue Tamer mono grip, and the factory grip was actually this little guy. These are both round butt Smith & Wessons. Same pebbling on the factory grip for the Model 69. Finger grooves are okay. I've got smallish hands. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'8", so my hands aren't huge. As a matter of fact, let's see. So yeah, tip of my trigger finger to the meat of my palm is about 5 inches. In case you want to check your own hands and see. Yeah, it's okay. Can't get a full grip. These Tamers are huge. They're really big in my hand, but they're a ton more comfortable shooting this revolver. And yeah, the factory grips are a full handful anyway, so they've been a little bigger, doesn't really matter. They have much better texture. These Hogue grips, very grippy, and they're a lot softer rubber, which is why I was saying people say that these are Hogues, and maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe Smith & Wesson contract with Hogue, and these are basically Hogue grips, but they don't feel the same. These are very hard, not plastic, but they've got no give to them at all in the rubber. Whereas these tamers, even though they are bigger, I don't know if you can actually see that. I can push it. You can actually see it giving. Even though these are a bigger grip, you can definitely scrunch your hand into it more. When you grip this, the soft rubber is noticeable. Yeah, the only other problem that I didn't really like about either of these are both L-frame revolvers. So same frame size from Smith & Wesson. Already showed my hand measurements. With this one, with both of these, with the back straps being covered by the grips, makes it that little bit thicker. They're not extremely comfortable to shoot without the back strap covered. But with it covered, you can see with my right hand, I can just barely, for a double action shot, I mean, you can get it, it's there, but I mean, I shot on a rifle team years and years ago, and so for trigger control, I usually like to have the seam of my first knuckle on the edge of the trigger, and that's how I position my finger, just to know that I'm doing a straight back trigger pull, not pulling, not too far, hooking the trigger, and also not pushing. They feel like you'd be more likely to push the trigger, push the gun off to the left, because you're reaching with your finger for somebody with hands my size. And also these triggers, neither one are serrated. They're both smooth face triggers, so a little hard to get to. I find myself having to compensate by, instead of gripping straight on, I have to move my hand around to the right a little bit to get my trigger finger in there correctly, which messes with my grip just a little bit. But I mean, you know, they can't make a gun to fit everybody, I guess, and it's my fault for being abnormally small. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I mean, both of these have that issue going on, especially with these tamer grips. Definitely does that no favors as far as getting to the trigger. So yeah, if you're my size, just be aware of that. You know, you might want to go to the gun shop and get your hands on one, see if you like the feel of it. You know, before you go get one online on Gunbroker or Arms List or something like that, and just buy it without having actually held it. If you have smaller hands, you might want to check that out. What else? These guys, talking about the back strap. So when I bought this Model 69, some brave soul had these, I believe these are Altamont grips. They looked really nice. Very small grips is what came on this gun. And I fired it with these on there a couple times. It didn't take many, and these came off. Not very pleasant. Not the worst thing in the world, but definitely the back strap plowing into your hand, and the serrations cutting your hand up. So you'll appreciate a set of rubber gloves, or rubber grips rather, on the 69 for sure. Being as light as it is, it likes to jump. It's not the worst thing in the world, but honestly, these, just the texture on these, and I did also, the grips are interchangeable with these both being L frames and round butt. So I took these grips and I put them on this 357 and fired them on there also. The grips are completely interchangeable between these two revolvers, and not bad. They do cut you up a little bit. It's pretty much like a 45. If you have a 45 with like this one with G10 grips, you know, if you got some G10 grips, so if you're planning on running some fancy wood grips, something on these, it's gonna feel, you know, it's gonna scuff your hand up a little bit, but not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, what else? They shot great. To be honest, if you're using these for any type of bear defense, anything like that, as much as I talked about this one having a heavy recoil, and it does, for a 44, it's pretty stout. With these tamer grips, when I fired this one with the tamer grips, and of course I'm also using this lower recoil 44 Magnum. I think Buffalo Bore makes a 300 grain heavy. I believe that's right. I could be wrong about the grain. I believe that's their full house load. This is the lower recoil, which isn't substantially less, but I fired both of these. These are the 357 180 grain hard cast outdoorsmans. And to be honest, with these tamer grips, the 44 was still more recoil than the 357, but it was more of a pleasant recoil impulse. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was more of a push, less of a snap, and felt actually more controllable with these grips. So if you were planning on getting the 69, I would definitely recommend the Hoe grips. They made a huge difference over the little factory ones, or definitely over these things. God forbid, don't. Not that Altamont's not a nice grip. It's a very nice grip. It's just not a very nice grip on a 37 ounce 44 Magnum or whatever this thing weighs. But yeah, speaking of weight, I meant to bring my scale. I didn't make it out with the scale, but I have weighed these empty, and I may edit the video and put that in. This one, the 69, I believe, was 37 ounces empty. The 686 Plus 357 Magnum was actually a couple ounces heavier. I want to say this one was 39 ounces empty, and I may edit that into the video showing that. Yeah, so between the two, a very light 44 Magnum, but also you know, the 357 Magnum. Neither one of them are extremely light guns, but they're decent for carry, or outdoors carry is what I would consider these 4-inch barrels. I don't think anybody's going to be carrying concealed either one of these inside the waistband or anything like that. But for woods carry, they're definitely great. I've got no complaints out of either one. Hopefully the hand measurements will help someone out. That was kind of the big thing that was missing off of the reviews that I watched of these after I'd already purchased them. People go into talking about the fit and finish and the different stuff, and there are differences. And I mean, this one's used. This is a 686 -6. I'm not sure how old this gun is. This one was also used, but you can tell this one's not been fired very much. This one's fairly new. But for fit and finish between the two, I don't know if you can hear the crane on the 69, and just the function of it is rougher. Doesn't feel as polished. Like I said, the trigger and all, the action is still great, but just something about the crane opening, you know, the functions on this, they feel rough. They feel a little clunky. You know, I'm sure it's a little more overbuilt being a 44, but it does feel clunky. Doesn't feel as refined, versus the 686 just is very smooth. I don't know if you can hear that solid click. When the crane comes out, it's very smooth. Seats solid. It's just very I don't know. It just feels very well machined, very clean. Versus the 69. The 69 also has the 2-piece shrouded barrel. I'm sure there's been plenty of talk about that. Haven't had any issues. Like I said, I've not had mine very long, but I've had no issues with it. It's not my favorite. I wouldn't prefer it. I definitely prefer the solid 686 barrel, but now what are you gonna do? Yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on these two. Like I said, I thought they were, being both L frames, they're fairly comparable, and being that the recoil is what really surprised me, of the recoil being kind of similar between the two after firing the Buffalo Bores. I thought that I would do a little compare and contrast video on them. I may do some range footage firing these. Probably do that in a separate video. But yeah, first tabletop review, guys. So if you're here, welcome. You're in on the ground floor, so congratulations on that. And everybody says your first YouTube video is supposed to be really bad, so hopefully I accomplished that. I'm sure that I did. But at any rate, yep, thanks a lot, and like and subscribe. I think that's what I'm supposed to say. So I'll see you guys on the next one.